want to talk about something, and I want to talk about how everybody's perception is going to be different. And let me hold on a second. And what made me think about uploading this is I was listening to a lady, and she gets a lot of emails. Okay, she talks about Africa a lot. She's African. And she was talking about how people were sending her emails expressing how they felt like Babylon isn't falling. It's not falling. Nothing's happening to Babylon because she says that Babylon has fallen. And here's what I want to say. Everybody's perception is going to be different of reality. So you know what what people don't really I say understand is that what you see is not going to be the same way somebody else might see it if that other person might be passive in creating their reality. The person that said Babylon is falling is because she's in a new earth, right? According to her, she says she's in a new earth. She's in a different dimension than the people who are probably listening to her. So maybe in her dimension, in her new earth, Babylon has fallen, right? But then see me these other people that just allow, that's very passive, because this lady, she understands that the world is mental, right? This lady that says that always say Babylon is falling. It's not that it is falling, it has fallen, but it has fallen maybe in certain timelines and not all people's timelines. She's in a completely different timeline, even though her date can still say October 24th, October 25th, depending on how many hours they are, ahead, you know. But either way, the time can still seem the same, but then she's still in a different timeline. She's in a different dimension. She's in a new earth. So for her, Babylon has fallen because it has to happen spiritually first, and you just seeing it in the so-called time happening in real time. But it's already fallen spiritually, so it already has fallen. You just witnessing it just happen in time. And that's for some people. And, she say people just email her disagreeing with her saying, Baba, it's like you can't argue with folks on their own perceptions. People don't get that there's different perceptions of reality depending on where folks are mentally. They're in different perceptions of reality. They're in different realities depending on where they are mentally because the world is mental. The world is not physical, it's mental. Okay? And eventually some of us that understand that, we're going to eventually have to catch up to where we don't really identify with the physical world at all anymore. Okay? At all. Okay? Because she's another one that talks about seeds and all that stuff and eating organic food and, not eating meats and stuff. And that's fine. I would caution, this is not necessarily what I'm saying right now. It's not necessarily the point of the video. But I would caution telling people what they need to eat. I would really caution that. Because here's the thing. Like, you can tell somebody not to eat meat. You can tell somebody, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. Here's the thing. Number one, everybody's body is different. And what I notice about certain groups of people might need soy and some people can't have soy at all. I've noticed that in certain groups of people, they have to have that soy. And some people, soy is bad for them. Okay? So you just can't tell folks what to eat. But another thing is also this. Regardless of even if you call yourself talking to brown people or not, if they are on a strict diet and they already have a dietitian or somebody that's assisting them, telling them what they should eat, even if it's not the best for them, and even what they eat is, the doctor tell them to eat is based on Babylon system, and it might seem healthy, but it's based on Babylon. You can't just expect them. You got to be careful giving folks advice. You got to be careful giving folks advice like that, and they are probably under the care of a physician because they just can't stop cold like that. A lot of them cannot stop cold like that. They might have side effects from that. because their body have been dependent on a certain way of life, a certain lifestyle for so long, just to stop like that. You know, they really need to be under strict supervision. They really need to know what they're doing. They really need to know what could happen if you stop cold turkey. That's like stop. Some people say stop smoking cold turkey, causing them to have problems. Same thing with drugs, right? So it's I would caution that, but just back to the point. She was even the one to talk about seeds and things like that, and that's fine because I have heard her say once though, is that you want to prepare for these things and stock up as much as you can on food, just enough to prepare yourself spiritually. I have heard her say that. And that should be the message, is to prepare yourself spiritually, because eventually you're going to have to get out of a mental mindset. People eventually are going to have to rise their consciousness above a physical type of rule set, a physical mindset eventually. So that's always been what I was for right there. Not necessarily against preparation, but preparation just so you can give yourself a chance to grow more spiritually and grow more mentally, to the point where you don't depend on the physical world, right? And I believe that's what she said one time too. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so basically I just was talking about how everybody's perception of the world is different, and people are going to disagree with what you have to say because they feel like your reality has to be the same as their reality when it's not. You don't have to see things the way they see it. That's why in certain professions like psychology and psychiatry, they were told to never judge. They're always told to never judge what somebody else is saying. Everybody's perception of reality is different. You cannot judge somebody else's perception of reality because everybody has their own perception of reality. Now, you can't tell somebody they're not going through what they go through, and that's one thing I can't stand about human beings or egos, which is that's something we all struggle with, and that's something that I try to keep from myself. That you cannot tell somebody they are not experiencing what they're experiencing because it don't make sense to you. So you tell somebody, this is why I kind of departed from family members. Because it was certain things that was going on, certain people in my family that felt like they want to choose somebody as a blood sacrifice to get the things they want in life. You don't have to be a celebrity to do that. You do not have to be, celebrities are not the only ones that do that. And I'm from Tuskegee, Alabama, and I'm going to tell you something. That is one area with the most, and this is no judgment against anybody who's a part of this, but that is one area with some of the most Freemasons and Eastern Stars I've ever seen. It's 99% black, and it's probably 95% Eastern Stars and Freemason. Most black people I think that you see, even if they look like they ain't got nothing, most black people that you see are probably going to be Eastern Stars or Freemason. A lot of Freemasons, though. Even if they look like they ain't got nothing. But the fact that they look like they ain't got nothing is because it don't matter what you're a part of. It don't matter how many blood sacrifices you have. If you have a poverty mindset, you just have a poverty mindset. And the problem largely with brown people is they have a poverty mindset no matter who they sacrifice, no matter what they're a part of, no matter what cult they're a part of. If you have a poverty mindset, you have a poverty mindset. And ain't no initiation is going to help that. That is something that you have to work on internally. But my point is that I was saying that I even separated from family members. I don't want to talk to them anymore because I can't keep talking to people who can't take me seriously. They think I'm lying about things. They think I'm crazy. Or the devil's speaking to you. No, the devil is not speaking to me. This is my story. That's just my story. That's all. Just because it's not your story, it's not something that you ever came into your awareness, does not mean I'm a liar. And I have to depart from people with a small mind these days. And the reason why I have to depart from them, because this is no longer the time to be around them. This is no longer the time to even have patience with that. Okay? This is no longer to have patience with people with an extremely closed mind anymore. Because you can't allow them to pull you down. I said in the previous upload about a lot of people are in the metaverse, but a lot of people been in the virtual reality, even if it wasn't called a metaverse. But if you're in a virtual reality and then don't even realize you're in a virtual reality, then it's not hard to pull you into the metaverse. It's just another version of the virtual reality. It's a different virtual reality. So if people are in holographic worlds, which I think is just a virtual reality at this point. It was a time when it was holographic world, but I think at this point it's just virtual reality. And how can you say that you're not, with the use of so much technology? How can you really say you're not? Because if people don't even know they've been in a virtual reality all this time, and then especially if people don't realize they've been in a holographic world, they can easily be pulled in metaverse and don't even realize they're pulled in, because there's no awareness. And it's not even so much about awareness all the time. It's just that the mind is not there to even receive what could be the truth, right? The mind is not even there to receive it. And see, folks like that, at this point, I can't even, I can't afford to be around them anymore. I can't afford to be around them. Because you can't think you're so strong that being around that kind of mentality is not going to pull you down. Okay, just being around that kind of mindset, even if they're not trying to do anything to you, just being around that mindset pulls you. It just cancels all the work that you try to put in yourself. Okay, you go around the folks for a weekend trying to hang out with them, trying to say I'm trying to be around family, but they ain't nowhere. Like, they ain't nowhere. Spiritually, mentally, they just still 3D, and they stuck on 3D. They stuck on a religion. And let me tell you something about the Bible. The Bible is not a liar. It depends on how you see it. The Bible is esoteric, so it really depends on how you see it. And a lot of folks just see it as, just take it as just a physical type of book. And they don't know how to see through, but at the same time, sometimes seeing those scriptures depends on where you are. So if you're a person that's more mental than mental than physical, or if you're more spiritual than physical, and you're working on detaching from the physical world, you're going to see that scripture a lot differently. And you're going to know that whatever's coming back is not going to be in the form of a person. It's really talking about a rise in consciousness. Okay, it's a rise in consciousness. And even a rapture, some people could be talking about, harvesting energy. That's a different form of a rapture. That's the false rapture, where there could be harnessing energy, but in people's consciousness and doing that. Okay, but also the rapture could be people who have risen up in a type of Christ consciousness. Okay, well, that's a different type of rapture, but it's not necessarily about somebody coming through and parting the clouds. Okay, because parting the clouds is, okay, what is the cloud? Because some people can associate the clouds with this 5G stuff and what they were doing during the lockdown, which I think in China is 6G. So the cloud can mean a lot of different things. This thing's called, it's like something called cloud. And I'm not big on technology, so I can't explain it too well, but it's something called cloud. So it could be something that's going on to trap people's consciousness to keep it from rising to a certain level. But some people rise up so high that they can part that cloud. It can so something coming back and parting the cloud might not have anything to do with a physical person or what you think look like a man coming back. See, I can say Jesus is coming back to part the cloud. I know that Jesus or Christ is nothing that look like a man. I know that it's nothing that look like a man, and that has everything to do with myself. And so the thing with the Bible is not about always disagreeing with what the scripture says. It's just how you take it. Now, some of those characters in the Old Testament and all that stuff in the New Testament, they have been renamed. Okay, and there's been research on that. So it's a matter of looking that part up. It's been research on that. Those characters have been renamed. Okay, Moses and all those different, they all been renamed. There's somebody else and they were renamed under a different supremacy. They got different names that were old people. That were people from a different cycle. Okay, but yeah, no, that's it. I was just talking about how everybody's perception is different, and so just disagreeing on somebody with how they see the world, that doesn't work. You can't force somebody to see things the way you see it, because everybody has a different reality. And so this lady, like I said, because she is more aware that the world is mental and she might be a little more advanced in controlling her reality, being that she's in a new earth, those people that's trying to tell her that Babylon hasn't fallen is because they could be in an old earth. She don't know where those folks are. You can't just tell people what's happening because they are not in the same dimension you're in. Just because they can hear you on the internet does not mean they're in the same dimension. So, like, whatever your perception is that you see Babylon falling doesn't mean that other people can see it that way, because they are not at a mental level that she is. So their reality is different, and whatever they're seeing, if they feel like Babylon hasn't fallen, it could be in their reality that's what they see. Because they might be more passive in their reality. They might feel like whatever's on the news or whatever needs to be pushed, whatever mandates are pushed, whatever laws are pushed, they might feel like they can't do nothing about it, and they have to accept whatever's given to them. They're very passive in their reality because they don't understand it could be changed. Those are some of the people that wait on the outside source to come help them with their problems. So you can't always put your perception of reality on them, because this lady already know that ain't nobody coming back to save you. But those people that deserve Babylon have fallen, they feel like somebody's coming back to save them. So their perception, they're seeing something totally different in their reality. This lady worked on creating her. She was aggressive. She was active. And whatever her perception is, she's active in creating her own reality. Those other folks are not necessarily active. A lot of them think that something outside is coming back to save them. So they are not seeing the same thing that she is seeing. Just because she's on the internet, that doesn't mean that you're in the same dimension she's in. Okay? But anyway, that's all I want to say, is that everybody's perception is going to be different. And I will talk later. All right.